Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. Pleased to meet you! Hope you guess my name! Hello, and welcome to the next episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies, the podcast where Matt and Todd go see a movie at our local Regal cinema, and then we talk about it in the parking lot in Mass Xterra, upload it, hopefully you download it into your brain, and then everything's good. I am Todd Domer.
And I'm Matt Malloy, and here we are after watching a fine movie at our Regal Cinema theater, and we're going to share some thoughts with you about that film. This film is called Cruella. It is actually, I think we learned that it's a prequel to 101 Dalmatians, your favorite animated film.
It's not my favorite animated film.
Well, I'm saying it could be some of our listeners' favorite animated film.
Oh, yeah, okay. I thought you were saying that to me.
Sorry,
Yes.
a favorite. We'll
Yes.
say that.
I'm gonna use prequel in parentheses
Okay,
when I say prequel.
gotcha. Wow. I think we can at least agree that what happens in this movie happens before the events of 101
Absolutely,
Dalmatians.
yes. Don't get me wrong; it's intended to be a prequel.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna use quotation marks.
Okay, fair enough. So you got two main star people in this movie. One of them is Emma Stone, who plays Cruella, and one of them is Emma Thompson, who plays the Baroness
Yeah.
character.
No relation
No relation. Yeah.
between the Emmas.
Right. They're not related, even though they share a first name.
Yeah.
And that was the extent of my knowledge of anyone who's in this movie. Todd, do you have anyone else?
I do. There's only one other person who's the butler, and that's Mark Strong.
Okay.
He's been in a lot of movies.
Gotcha.
Not the most famous guy, but he's
Right.
been in a lot.
And I feel like he does a decent job in this movie, playing a butler.
Yes. It was clear he was a butler.
Yes, it was. So, what's this movie actually about? Well, it's about the life story of Cruella DeVille, and how she was orphaned at a young age, and then
His real name is Estella. Yeah.
Right? Orphaned at a young age, and then lives life on the streets and meets her henchmen Jasper and Horace.
Yes.
Is that the name? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And who I believe are also henchmen in 101 Dalmatians.
You'd be correct.
Yeah. So there's some characters that you get to meet before that other movie. This is live action. I'll just put that out there. This isn't an animated film. Although I guess there is a live action version of 101 Dalmatians as well.
Yes.
But basically you go through the life of Cruella. She grows up. The whole time she wants to be a fashion designer, and she wants to work for the Baroness, and ends up doing that. The Baroness is the most famous fashion designer, and then she sort of embraces her Cruella persona, I'll say, and starts to try and rock the boat a little bit, and make her own fashion designs outside of working secretly, outside of working for the Baroness. So, and then you kind of learn some things as you go along that I won't reveal, and things take their turn, and the end of the movie, you find out a lot of secrets, I guess, and people who deserve it get their comeuppance, and people who don't deserve it, I guess, ride off happily into the sunset.
Yeah. People who don't deserve it get rich.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Much like real life.
Also true.
So yeah, I don't know. There's some Dalmatians in this movie too.
Mm-hmm.
They don't play a super major role. There's some things, but that's sort of the plot as far as you can go without us spoiling things for you, I think.
Yeah. No, I think you did a good job.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, how do you feel about this movie?
Well, I am not a fan of this movie. But there are definitely things that I will highlight under the good category. I think there's great acting in this movie. I think Emma Stone basically took control and commanded this movie with her performance. And I think it's a very good performance, a very good performance of playing this person who I think, they don't ever say it, but I'm like, this movie led me to believe that she just had multiple personality disorder. And her transition from Estella to Cruella, I think she knocks it out of the park. Same thing with Emma Thompson. I think she was fine. I think she was good. Mark Strong was good. I mean, I think everyone in this movie was good. Oh, Horace is the guy from Richard Jewell.
Oh, okay.
We've reviewed that movie.
Oh, yes.
So
Horace
I think
played Richard Jewell.
Yes. So I think the acting's good. The cinematography is pretty good in this movie. It's like an interesting kind of show of 1970s London. All that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to toe the line with this one because my biggest frustrations with this movie are like how it absolutely does not fit in with 101 Dalmatians. And like I tried because I knew some stuff going into the movie, so I tried really hard to not let that bother me and just kind of cast that aside. But honestly, it was so atrocious in that area that I could not. Because I think if you're gonna do a prequel, it's gotta be tight and good. It's gotta fit. Like you're basically taking a puzzle that's already completed and it's got some missing parts to it. If you throw in parts that aren't even part of that puzzle, then it's gonna look dumb. You gotta fit the right parts. And I don't think they even really tried. Like they threw in different things to just make you go, oh, that's funny, there's Dalmatians in this movie, or oh, like this is how she met Horace and Jasper and stuff like that. But it's like, as far as like the overarching, if you're supposed to watch this movie and then go into 101 Dalmatians, whether it's the animated version or the other real life version with Glenn Close and Jeff Daniels and stuff, it doesn't fit. Like it doesn't fit at all, and that's what bothers me. Like this movie could have been like the best movie I've ever seen, and it would still distract me in that area because that's what you're trying to do. That was the goal of the movie. How do you create Cruella de Vil? Like from the Cruella we meet in 101 Dalmatians, who is perfectly fine with murdering 99 Dalmatian puppies to make a dress. Like that's her whole character in that movie. And she treats Horace and Jasper absolutely horrible. They're obviously just her henchmen. In this movie, they're her family and like stuff like that. And like you see an aspect of her like treating them poorly towards the end when she embraces Cruella, but then they kind of like try to smooth it over and things are gonna supposed to be okay from there. It just doesn't. You can't make the leap from this movie to 101 Dalmatians, and that's my biggest problem with it. If you're gonna do a prequel, it needs to fit. You're just doing a prequel, and in general, I think I've definitely talked to you about this, or I've said it on the podcast, that I absolutely hate this new genre of movies of, oh, how did the villain get to this point? Oh, they have a sympathetic backstory, and their life was so hard, and now we understand, oh, that justifies her wanting to kill 99 puppies because she had a hard life and stuff like that. And it's all trash. I hate it. Like, it's not good. Like, we can't have villains just be villains nowadays. Like, there has to be something going on with them. Like, and the Avengers is the prime example with Thanos, where they kind of tried to make him a sympathetic villain of what his cause were or whatever. And they do the same thing in these kind of movies. Same thing with Maleficent. Same thing with Cruella. And it's just tiring at this point. I'm done with it. Like, because you're trying to shoehorn this character into a box that they obviously don't fit in because of how we were introduced to them in the first place. So, plenty of good things on a movie aspect with this movie. Cinematography, acting, the script is fine. Like, everyone delivers the lines well. So, I'm going to highlight those parts too. But as far as everything else of like fitting into the Dalmatian lore of the original movie or the live action movie or whatever, like it didn't fit with me. And that's going to drive me nuts for a while. It's just going to frustrate me. I could have created a better movie. So Disney, why don't you contact me? And I'll even share my better movie right now, is that this movie should have been split into 2 parts, a la The Godfather Part 2, where we see this Cruella coming up and stuff like that, but then we flash cut to Glenn Close Cruella, who's in jail or whatever, and it's like her life then, and it's like the sandwiched between how she started and how she's ending.
Yeah.
And that would have been a fascinating movie, but Disney doesn't care about that. Hollywood doesn't care about that. They don't want fascinating good movies. They want cheap movies with dumb jokes, and you just throw in stuff, and you throw in references to something else just to make people go, oh, they said it. Oh, there's Dalmatians in this movie. So that's it. I'm spent.
Okay.
That's where I feel. Matt?
Yeah, so I agree. The acting was good. The Emmas did a good job.
Yes.
And agree with Emma Stone really carrying her role in this movie and doing a great job.
Yes.
But I agree with you that you've got to match up. And if I could, I'd like to present a movie that did this well.
Okay.
And that movie is called Rogue One.
Okay.
Rogue One, if you don't know, if you're not a Star Wars fan, the original Star Wars movie is called Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. Not originally called that, of course, but, they tagged it on later. Yeah. Rogue One takes place exactly leading up to the very moments at the end of, or at the beginning of A New Hope.
Yes.
And to me, it's one of the best Star Wars movies as far as touching all the points that you need to touch because you know where you're going and fitting into the Star Wars universe very well for what has to come next, which is a whole movie that's already been made 30 years ago or whatever.
Yes.
And they did a good job. So here is an example of a movie, the one we just watched, which did not do that very well. As you mentioned, Todd. So,
I think we would have liked the movie a ton more if it wasn't Cruella. That wasn't attached to like Dalmatians, stuff like that. Just as a movie, we would have been like,
right.
We probably would have been like, oh, well, this is just The Devil Wears Prada again. But, at least we could take it as it is and it'd probably get a higher rating from us. Like, it's almost the fact that they tried to make this connect to something else is its downfall to me.
Yes. And another downfall for me personally was this movie dragged on and on.
Yes.
I think the movie was actually about 2 hours. We'd have to look up the running time, but it felt like a 3-hour movie to me. It just kept going on and on. We have all this stuff about Cruella as a kid, and then Cruella's growing up, and then she takes a side job, and then she gets her real job, and then she moves out on her own. It's
Cruella eats an apple. Happens several times in this movie.
Yes, she did enjoy several apples. So yeah, I like the acting. I didn't love the story, but it wasn't terrible. But there was too much story. This could have been a nice 90-minute film, a little tighter, and not about Dalmatians. And you got something there. But as it stands, it feels pretty mediocre to me. And the other thing that I'll say about this is not a kid's movie.
No.
Really.
No.
This is a movie that has murder, it has drinking, it has
intoxication.
Yeah. It has, some violent fights.
Yes.
It has a plane flying over. So if you're thinking, 101 Dalmatians, kids movie, I'll take my kids to this. No, Don't do that.
Yeah, absolutely
Don't
not.
do that. It's for an older audience. So,
Yeah.
which I think.
I mean, I think it's PG-13, but I wouldn't even take a 13-year-old to see this movie. I don't think.
Yeah, in Todd's book, it's PG-15.
Yes, I'll
So.
agree.
So yeah. So I'm gonna say, if you liked 101 Dalmatians, I don't know if you watched this or not. If you're
I know, yeah, exactly.
if you're a real fan and you are gonna be okay with them deviating a little bit from the plot, but yet having elements, then okay, watch it. Because there are elements. You get to meet a lot of the characters who are in 101 Dalmatians, kind of before they
or
were.
characters that were created for this movie that are not in, and you're like, oh, where'd those people go?
Right. But yeah, I'd say this is definitely a skippable movie. I would wait until it comes out on a streaming service to watch it if you're gonna watch it. So that's where I end up.
Fair, very fair. All right, how many? How many dog heists would you give this movie? There's a dog heist in this. And guess what the dog is? Dalmatian!
There is a dog heist.
Obviously 5 being the best because you get the most dogs brought to you and stolen.
That's
0
right.
being probably the best for the dog owners who
Right.
don't have their dog stolen. But where does that leave you?
There's trade-offs.
Yeah.
There's trade-offs in even this rating system. Well, we're going to say 5 dog heists is the best score you could get.
Yes.
This movie will not get 5 dog heists from me.
No.
It will get... I'm going to go with 2 dog heists.
Okay.
Nice round number there. This is a below average film in my book. Average being 2.5 dog heists. But
Sure.
I'm giving it a 2. And mainly based on Emma Stone's acting ability in this movie.
Yeah.
So that's where I end up. You can skip it.
Yeah. I am not too far off from you. I'm at a 1.5, and I think 1.4 of that is just off of Emma Stone's performance in this movie. Like, she really did carry this movie on her back.
Right. In a way that Dave Bautista never could.
Could not, yeah. I mean, the best parts of this movie to me are when she's just chewing the scenery, and delivering an over-the-top performance.
Right.
Yeah, and honestly, now that I'm thinking, Matt, a connection that I don't think I ever made, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think Emma Thompson played Anita Darling in the live action.
Really? Okay.
I could be wrong. I'm going to look
I've
it up
never seen
after.
the live action, so
It's good. I liked it.
okay.
I'm very familiar with the cartoon because my daughter went through a Dalmatian phase where we watched it almost every week.
Right.
So we haven't watched it in a while, but it's still pretty fresh in there.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm at a 1.5.
Okay.
Emma Stone, like, I guess the caveat that I'm going to create for you watching this movie is that if you really want to see someone carry a movie with their acting and you love Emma Stone, this is your movie.
Yeah.
If you loved 101 Dalmatians, then I don't know. I don't know. You got to make that decision for yourself.
Mixed feelings.
Yeah.
We've given you the information you need.
Yeah.
To make that decision. All right. Well, that's gonna wrap things up for this episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies with an average rating for Cruella of 1.75 dog heists out of 5. So that's fairly below average, but there are a few different people who might enjoy this film.
Sure.
So
if you can get over the fact that she chooses Cruella because one time her mom said, "Oh, you're Estella, don't be Cruella," and that was the birth of where the name came from.
Yeah.
So
sometimes these things happen.
I guess
Sometimes
so.
they stick. But anyway, thanks for listening to our podcast. Please continue to do that. We'll continue to make them, and keep on doing it. Thanks.
Da 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 da
Ta-da,
da da da.
da-da-da.